Turn off my fan now.
Good day and welcome to the Referee Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Basin. I'm joined by some friends of football officials, one from Jamaica at this time, and also I have an official from the UK. I'm going to add in Cardella Samuels. Well, first, let me just go around and ask everyone to kind of introduce themselves and just give us a brief background of yourself in the sport of football. And Narissa, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Narissa Golson. I'm a football referee, central football referee from Jamaica, and I've been refereeing for approximately 6 years, can say 7. And also, I'm a CONCACAF badged referee. So, that's it. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Okay. Cardella?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Cardella Samuels from Jamaica, former FIFA referee. I retired in 2019. I'm now an assessor, also training instructor.
Okay.
My years of active refereeing was from 2009. I also attended 2 Junior World Cup, which was in Azerbaijan and Costa Rica.
Oh,
So
nice.
now at the moment, I'm an assessor.
Okay. Good stuff. And all right.
Here we go. Thank you all. Good evening, everybody. So my name is Farai Hallam, over here in just outside London, but I'll say London, England. Kind of 2 hats really for me. One is working at the English Association, so I'm one of the national referee managers working here with our grassroots referees to progress them. And of course, on the other hand, I'm an active referee operating within the professional game here in England. Prior to my years refereeing, I was fortunate to spend 4 years playing professional football. And now in my 8th season as an active referee.
Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, Cardella, I'm going to come to you because you say you've retired, but what changes have you seen in the game whilst you were refereeing that have now kind of are different now that you're on the outside as a tech person in the game, not an active person in the game? Did you hear me, Cardella? Oh, she's going off. Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. Well, Narissa, can you give us some background to your journey? What got you started in officiating?
That's a very, very, very amazing story. In my community, I live near a play field, a football ground. So they normally play football on a Sunday morning, and they were having a tournament going on at the football field, and they were short of referee. I have been a person who has always been active in football. I used to play football at high school, and so I know a little bit about the game. I was told to help out the situation and assist on the line. There was a former referee from Jamaica called Howard Stennett. He was the central referee. He gave me a flag. I was in a little t-shirt and a shorts and a slippers. And he asked me to assist on the line, and he told me to always stay in line with the second to last opponent. And from that day until now, I guess it has been history. To get a little more technical though, I was then introduced to the St. Catherine football referee group. The St. Catherine referee group, and then I was taken up as a little baby by an instructor of the name Mark Sullivan, and then from there I was introduced to Jamaica football referee. I sat my test and I was successful. I did my fitness test, also it was successful, and I started to officiate in our leagues here in Jamaica. And then started growing and growing and becoming a better referee. I did only maybe a year or a few months as an assistant referee. I was forced to be a central referee, yes, because of my height and my body posture. And, instructor said I am more fit for the middle. And that's it. Then I went on to program of referee, CONCACAF program of referee course. That is an excellent course. It has made me the referee who I am now. I would say that was the icing on the cake for me. The introduction course was in Mexico and the certificate part of the course was in Bradenton. I must say that has been my roots or grass level for refereeing since. So
Okay, good. All right, Cardella. Cardella, I'm going to come back to you because I was asking. Now that you're on the technical side of or the teaching side of the game, how much has it changed from when you were actively on the field and now that you're kind of in the background?
Well, it has changed a lot because when I'm like in the stands watching the referees, I wish I was still out there. But unfortunately, it has changed a lot. It's not like being on the field where the action is. But trust me, this experience as an assessor, I would say it's a challenge, but it is much because you have an idea about the game, watching referees out there. You have an idea certain decisions the referee made. You get that feeling because you out there, you would have said as a referee, okay, I'd have made that decision or I would not make that decision. So you get that feel of the game as a former referee.
Okay, all right. And all right, obviously you say you wear two hats. So how do you manage that? Because still as an active person and still trying to do stuff in the with the youth and all, that's a big tall order. But how are you managing that?
Yeah, good question. I think sometimes it can be a challenge because you have to separate trying to help people on one hand and obviously trying to help yourself on the other. So what we do to support referees, and I think that's one of the beauties of refereeing, is that people always want to help each other. I mean, you've just heard even Cardella now has gone into kind of a non-active role and is out helping other referees, and that's part of what I guess I try and do is my experience playing, and of course now refereeing, I try and bring that into those coming through behind me. And of course, with my active hand, you've got to be focused, disciplined. You've got to focus and be strong in what you want to do as an individual. So it's very much a balancing act, something which can be difficult at times. You might be watching someone on a Friday night and refereeing yourself on a Saturday, and then out on a Sunday morning trying to help someone, and then focusing yourself for the Tuesday. So it can be busy, but it's good. It helps the game. It helps people progress. There's no better feeling than seeing people around you do well, and of course you want to do well yourself.
Yeah. Narissa, when you got the opportunity or get the call to be part of your first CONCACAF tournament, what was that like for you?
What it was like for me, it was a waiting moment that has arrived, of course, because when I went to the Program of Excellence course, I must say, myself and the other female referees who was there were granted the permission to officiate in the CONCACAF Men's Under-20 Championship. No female has ever officiated in a CONCACAF Championship then. So we went out and I got a feel of what it is like to officiate in a tournament settings, a championship. Under-20 CONCACAF Championship, that is not too far from senior football in CONCACAF. And it gave me a feel and helped me to understand more what officiating on the big scene is like. So when I got the email or the confirmation from the Jamaica Football Federation saying that I'm going to be participating in the CONCACAF men's under-15 tournament, it was a tremendous feeling for me. I jumped for joy, and I called my instructors immediately, even though they were aware of the news. But you had to call and say thanks and let them know how appreciative you are. And they were all saying it's not we, it's you who put in the work and it's you who they are interested in. So you just have to keep the work going. And so it was breathtaking. It was, as I said, a waiting moment that has arrived.
Yeah. Cardella, coming back to you, what got you started into officiating?
Could you repeat that for me, please?
What got you started in officiating?
Well, actually, I used to play netball. I used to play netball before, not a footballer. I've never played football before. So that's kind of strange. But actually, I used to, at school, I used to do track and field and I used to play netball. So, like, back in my community, we used to, like, play netball during the evenings. So, instructor Dave Miku, he normally passed because we're living in the same community. So, he normally passed in the evening and saw me playing netball and he sent messages to me and said that that's not my game because he sees as a talented person who might have the potential to become a referee. So he sent message to me and stuff like that, and I wasn't really interested because I never knew anything about football, so I wasn't really netball was all my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't stop until he got me to start going to the other session, and he convinced me to go to the session with him. And I went with him to the session, did the test, even though I did the test because he forced me to do it. So I did the test and all, but still had much interest in it. So I did the test, and when I did the test and he came back and he told me that I passed. And funny thing is, if I was the one who get the highest in the test, in the exam. So when he came to me and he said, that you passed it, the referee test, I like, really? He said, yes, and you get the highest in it. I said, that's good. So when he came, okay, so you're going to start the game, like, I don't know nothing about games, so I'm going to start doing games. So what he did, he took me up and he used to take me to games with him, like every Sundays when we went to netball match, he would come and pick me up off the netball and he'd take me to games, so I'd watch the game and get a feel of it. So we decided, okay, I guess we can try. So I went a game with him and I started on the line. And trust me, I was really nervous because I didn't have a clue. He said, okay, just pay attention to me and just follow me and do, and you will get it. And trust me, from there it was history. And I think it was a year after being on the line, about 2 years after being on the line, I think. We decided that, okay, this is enough on the line for you. You have to go in the middle. So I prefer to be on the line. And he was like, that's not your decision. I was like, that's not your decision to make. I am telling you that you are going in the middle and you have to, the only decision you have to make is either you go in the middle or you decide to forget about refereeing. So he took my flag. He literally took my flag and he broke my flag and he said, if I saw you with another flag as of today, just tell yourself you are no longer in refereeing. And trust me, from that day, I'm in the middle and I've not had any regrets being in the middle. Trust me, from that day. And so I must say thanks to Dave Meeker because he had played a great role in my referee career, and also the other instructors. But he's the one from ground from day one. He's the one who had nurtured me and bring me to a certain level in refereeing.
Yeah, we had Dave on a few weeks ago. Yeah, but these two ladies were thrusted into something without warning. Just get in the middle.
Yeah.
That
Can
is
you
how
give us your experience? I hope it weren't get in the middle.
My first game, my first match referee in the middle. I remember it was a women's game. Going in the middle, I had no clue. And because when I say I was fit, I was really fit. And I just run and I know what to call the fouls, but like in terms of positioning and stuff like that, I didn't have a clue. So I just on the field running, blowing the whistle, calling the fouls, make the correct call, but getting into position, no. I remember finishing that game and the commissioner on the game, he said to me, in terms of calling the fouls, you did a wonderful job, but trust me, you run down all the 22 players on the field. And trust me, I didn't give up. And other referees were there watching the game, and they had encouraged me, telling me I have the potential and want I continue to train and watch games and stuff like that. And from there, you couldn't believe that this is a person who had never played football before.
Farai, what about you? What was your journey like?
My journey is going to look nowhere near as interesting as that information. It's going to be nowhere near. I think I need to get out to Jamaica with some fitness training, running down all 22 players. I've got a long way to go. So my experience was slightly different. So I started refereeing whilst I was playing. I was probably coming to the end, and I probably knew I was coming to the end of my playing days. I dropped out of professional football into semi-professional football, so it's now part-time. I probably was falling out of love with football, actually, a little bit. Football's been my love since I was knee-high. Ever since I can remember, football's been my thing. But it came to a point where I thought, I need something to reinvigorate my love, to give me that spark again, really, in football, to give me an opportunity. And I gave the referees course a go. And I remember, I think as both Neressa and Cadella have both said this, I remember going onto my course, and I was actually quite nervous that, oh God, I thought I knew everything about football, and I get asked a question about law or the laws of the game, and I go, oh my, I should know this, but I didn't know. And that for me was a real moment of, okay, you need to get your pen out and you need to listen here because you don't know it all. So hopefully I do exactly that. I listened to my tutor at the time, my instructor, a guy called Ian Blanchard, who was unbelievable. He was a Premier League assistant many years ago, but just the nicest, calmest bloke. And he made me feel very much at ease. And I remember my first game, finished my course, passed my exam. I remember my first ever game turning up and the two teams going, are you the ref? And it was almost like I'm looking over my shoulder. Like, oh no, they're talking to me. Yeah, I'm the ref. And that game kind of started off fine. And I remember it must have been about 20 minutes in. Nothing had happened. Throw-ins, happy days, goal kicks, very easy. And then a big tackle goes in. And obviously you blow the whistle. And I didn't know what would happen. What would I feel? And I got the yellow card out and everyone just went, well done, ref. And I thought, oh, it's as simple as that. Because it was a yellow card foul. You get the yellow card out, everyone's then happy. And I thought, oh, this refereeing's easy. Of course. 8 years later, here I am. I've learned that the experiences I've had, the game I've then officiated on, slightly more challenging than I thought. And at the moment, I still both run the line, referee, fourth official. So we have that in England for a number of years. You'll do all of the roles, I guess, which is good. I mean, when I choose, I will choose to be in the middle. I'm quite tall. I'm 6'3", so when I'm on the line, I kind of tower over everyone, and it's probably not right. And I think for me, being in the middle suits who I am, suits my personality. But when that time comes, it'll be a brilliant learning curve on the line that I've had. worked with some fantastic top referees, been to some fantastic grounds. Probably the best for me has been Arsenal's Emirates Stadium for an under-23 Premier League 2 game. Brilliant experience, brilliant first team players playing. It's been unbelievable. But the aim is to get there as the referee. That's the aim.
Good stuff. I want to welcome in. Is it Maurice? Hi. First of all, welcome. Can you just give us a brief background on yourself?
Okay. Well, I am Maurice Skip. I am a FIFA referee for over 9 years now, and also, as you can see in my uniform, I'm a soldier, staff sergeant presently, still at work. So, so yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Other than that, I have to learn to balance the two, because still working and have to train afternoon and in the morning. So I had to find a balance between the two. But after doing it for some amount of years, I learned how to balance the two, and it have worked well. I have one son. He's going to be 19.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we've heard the journeys of Narissa and Cardella and Farai. What has your journey been in the sport of football?
Wow. Excited, tough, you had good moments that you didn't proud of. It's a mixed feeling, but to put it together is a great accomplishment for me. I would do it over again. The only thing I regret is not doing it more early. Because I love football, and the fact that I get to do it on a different platform, it still brings me joy and a lot of excitement that, when you get selected for a tournament, you feel some side of accomplishment, because your hard work is paying off and persons actually seeing you. So you try to be the best you could be, and when you're going out on the field, for me I feel you be under pressure. I don't know if nobody else, but you be under pressure, because it's like you're refereeing for all the referees. Because if one referee didn't get a good game, you just feel it. You don't rejoice. So I just want to go out there and do the best of my ability and make myself, my family, my country, and all the referee fraternity proud. That's what everybody looking for. As the team now is excellent in action. So you always striving to do your best, and every game you try to be better and to work on something. Every time you go in the game, when you finish being assessed, you try to fix and improve on whatever mistake or whatever you would have they would have in the debrief you would have been briefed on. You try to fix and improve, and that's the only way you get better. So I like the excitement and the rush, but at the end, when you in the game and you're the referee, you in charge, I like the sense of, you see where I am. I'm in the army. I like feeling and knowing that I'm in charge of things. So I like the feeling and the rush, the energy that I just get when I'm out there. But it's a lot of work. But as my motto, I always say, through hard work and dedication comes success. And it's only then you could achieve it. You have to have self-motivation. I always say that, because it don't always be easy. You get times when you really gotta go deep, dig real deep, and battle through whatever it you're going through. So it's not an easy road, but it's nice if you dedicate yourself to it.
All right. Cardella, can I ask you? Obviously, when you get involved in the game, you're doing a lot of men's games. What were some of your challenges when you first started?
With the women or the men?
Oh,
Oh, Cardella.
with the men.
Oh, with the
With
men here.
actually, it was at first it was very challenging being as um especially as a female and especially at the higher level because
Hmm.
I was the first female central referee that has actually officiated in a Premier League game locally here.
Oh, wow.
So being the first female, males see you come on the field as a woman referee, they're going to try to test you. They try to intimidate you and to see what you're made up of. But after a period of time, they realize they see the person I am. I've earned respect from both players, coaches, and other persons affiliated with football. So over the years, it gets much easier for me. And going out there, you're just anticipating the moment. There are times there are decisions players may not agree with, but because the respect they had for you, and sometimes as a referee when you know that you made the incorrect decision and you can say yes, it was wrong or you shouldn't have done that or you should have made a different call or it could have they appreciate that and they respect the referee. They respect you as a referee that you can own up to if you make an incorrect decision and not try to defend it. So you earn the respect of the players there. So over the years, it becomes much easier for me as a female referee in the middle with the men.
Mm, good stuff. Narissa, what has been your biggest challenge in a game that you would? It's an incident that you would always think about. Did I handle it right?
Oh, my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge that I handle it right. There has been some amount of scenario or occasion where I had to question myself if did I handle it right?
Hmm.
Was the right call made? Was is there camera evidence to say where I can look back and say I was wrong or was my instructor would say or my instructor would say you did well, you managed the situation well. But for me though, I would say my biggest moment was one thing in my head. I cannot forget when this should have been locally within my country, but I don't try to make much error or I try to do my best whenever I am on the field, worse locally, because I feel more at home and the comfort of refereeing is more, not laid back but more comforting. But when I was in Mexico, we were officiating some game when I was at a part of the port. And about 2 minutes before the game ended, I had a mass confrontation, telling you. And I was like, how did this happen? What really happened? Like within split seconds, all players, all coaches, technical staff, everybody was onto the field. And I was lost. I was this Caribbean girl seeing this for the first. I was lost, and I look back at it, and that was a moment where I can say, or I could say, I slipped up because I was once told when you're officiating a game and it is getting hot, if you as a referee say you're going to play 2 minutes at it, then at 1 minute 40 seconds it's okay to end it. And in that game before the confrontation, I exceeded the 2 minute that I said I was going to play. and everything just all hell just get loose. So that was a learning process for me to don't allow the time to go over than you said unless it is needed. And I always try to not have no form of confrontation in my game because I know it can lead from just a confrontation to a mass confrontation. And that has been my fear in refereeing since. I don't know if it should be a fear or it should be something that I'm supposed to say this cannot happen again. But football is not something that you can predict. But it has, if it happened again, I am sure I would be able to deal with the situation much better. But it is something, it has been my biggest challenge, that game. But apart from that, 1 and 2, you may issue a wrong sanction. Like, for example, you're supposed to send off the player and you give him a yellow card, or vice versa of that. Maybe calling a penalty that is not really a penalty, the things that every referee might experience, so
Right.
different from that. That was the standout one.
Okay. All right. Farai, what about you?
I just as the rest of the talking, there was one moment which sprung to mind, which is never a good thing, is it, when you know what you're going to say? But actually, for me, it's been such a good learning curve, and it taught me so many lessons. So, probably 4 years ago now, last game of the season, and the away team needs to win, otherwise they are relegated. So if they lose or they draw, they go down a division. So big game for them, really. For the other team, mid-table, doesn't mean anything. And after 15 minutes, they give a penalty to the home team. So they go 1-0 up. So, of course, the team that are the away team are unhappy. They are on the verge of relegation anyway, and I've just given a penalty against them. So they're very unhappy. The usual, you get rid of it. It goes down, goal is scored, half-time, 1-0. The manager comes knocking on my door. Referee, I want to speak to you. I said, no, we've got nothing to speak about. Nothing happened that is worth debate. I'm very sure with the penalty. But anyway, comes never a penalty. To the second half, really, all the players are back. That team, ref, this. So on my mind, I'm thinking, I've got it wrong. So anyway, game finishes 2-0. They are relegated. I've got a 2-hour drive home, and the whole way home, I'm thinking, I've got a penalty wrong, and a team has been relegated as a result of it. So that's obviously, as a referee, when you think you've got something wrong, that's never a good feeling. It's a horrible feeling. That's probably one of the worst feelings, worse than I ever had losing in a team, because you take it all as an individual. And in England, we can't watch footage, and it normally comes on Monday. So from a Saturday, it comes on the Monday. So Monday, of course, the footage comes on, and I didn't want to watch it. I thought, I'll watch it tonight. And one of my ARs says, "Have you seen the penalty?" And I said, "No, I've not seen it yet." He said, "I think you should watch it." So I go on at work, 10 minutes, watch the penalty or the challenge, and it's a penalty. It's a clear penalty. So all of this bad feeling, which had ruined my Saturday night, ruined my Sunday, ruined my Monday morning, thinking it's my fault of costing relegation, was all for nothing. And it really taught me, and the biggest lesson I ever learned was that you've got to be confident in your own ability. If you are confident in what you've given, nothing should sway that. As Naressa said, once you see the footage, you might have confirmation one way or the other, but you might not. You'll have a gut feeling if you've got something wrong. But if your gut feeling is, no, actually, I'm confident, I would never then go, actually, maybe someone else's opinion might change it. Because football is subjective. Managers, players, they all have their own objective. And it was the same for all of us, that when we're playing, we all want to win. And when we're not winning, when things aren't going our way, you maybe sometimes try and find someone to blame, and that can often be the referee. So a real big learning curve. And for me, it also taught me that when the game is over, once you've got in the car, you need to try. It's very hard, but you need to try and forget about football for a few hours, because when you go home to family, to friends, they will care, but they don't want it to ruin your mood. No matter what's happened, it's not life and death, it's football. So that for me was a big lesson, that back your own decision in your mind, because you know what you've seen, given what you've seen, and never let it affect the important things in life, the family, the friends, the good times that we say, because they're more good times than bad. So try and enjoy them.
Definitely. Maurice, tell us a bit about your experience in Bermuda. You gotta unmute. You gotta unmute your mic. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes,
No
sorry.
worries.
Yes. So Bermuda, I enjoy Bermuda. It's a very nice place. The games that I did there, I think I did a game with Bermuda and some other team. And when Bermuda playing, the whole crowd, the whole Bermuda come out to see the game. So I had a packed stadium, and I made a call. I called a foul against Bermuda. Whoo! That was the end of me. It's their booze.
But you expect that on the road? You expect?
It was booze all along. Nobody liked the referee no more. So I like those kind of challenge when things going the way,
Right.
But it was good, and in the end, they wasn't wrong. I was wrong because it wasn't a clear-cut foul. So Diane said I could allow it to play.
Right.
And calling the foul, the game they needed. So, as all the others said, when you make those kind of blunder, it's like you beat yourself up. You don't want to eat. Your eyes sleep. You roll all night. You're studying about debriefing. How much licks you're gonna get in the debrief? All them things is running through your head. You want if you get it right. Because sometimes you just be thinking you get it wrong because of how people, other persons would say.
Right.
But as the other guy said, in the end, when you do go and check it and you look it back, you'll be right. So sometimes you just gotta go with your gut and make decisions, and don't worry about whether it right or it's wrong. Just continue refereeing and learn from it, and I learned from that. And it was a good experience in Bermuda. It wasn't like high.
Right.
I think was the under 20s. I think.
Yes, the under 20 women's under 20 World Cup qualifiers.
And then it's female. So the transition from male to female is a whole different game. And for us, refereeing the men game here, which is competitive, and it's like bam bam, as Carla said, you gotta earn your respect from the men. You can't just go in there like no female and think them men gonna say, oh, you're female, and no, they see you as a referee, and sometimes they see you as weak because you're female. So you gotta prove to them, well, hey, I just as good as the men and even better than some of them. So, or I am on par with them. So transitioning from the men game to the female game, I had some issues with that because the female game is a bit slower.
Right.
And it females play. They have some good teams play real good footballs, and they have some that so you gotta be moving much more, and it's like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And you just gotta keep, finding, and over the years I, develop, and it become easy refereeing female game, but it was a real big challenge for me. I had to really work hard to get it right, refereeing female game. But my experience in Bermuda was good. Like I told Cranston, I wanted to come and live there.
We'll have to talk to him. Cardella, can you answer what what it's been like now as an assessor for you? Because are there times where you look at the referee and you sometimes envision yourself doing something similar? As an assessor, you're telling yourself, I would have done that the same way, although I know now it's not quite right.
Yes, sometimes you sat and you watch the referee when they're refereeing the game. And even at times when you see them doing something and yeah, as you've been out there before, you'd have done something similar to that. But there are other times when you might see them do something and like, no, I would have done something. I wouldn't have done that. I would have made a different call or so I guess it's vice versa. But um being the assessor, watching the referee, as I said before, it gave you a better feel of the game and a better understanding of decisions that the referees make.
Mm, okay. The things, Farai, the things that you've learned from being an official, and you said you do the middle, the assistant, fourth official. Had you known that type of stuff as a player, would that have helped you to be a better player?
I think I needed more help than that, Al. I think I needed more support. Yes, I think so. I think it would have been a real help. I mean, there are so many changes now to the laws of the game. There are so many things which we as referees need to know and we have to be switched on to. And sometimes our lives are more difficult when players maybe don't understand it, or we do something that's correct in law, but maybe the players, the managers, the spectators watching maybe don't quite get it. And that can be a challenge for us, of course, managing people. So definitely when I was playing, if I had known more, maybe a better player. I'm very confident of that. But also, I just think it would have made the game better. I think that some of the pressure that is put on the referee in kind of all levels, all games, sometimes it's just unnecessary. Actually, the better educated our players are, the better the game is. And I had that experience when I refereed in Denmark, so another European country where their culture is very different and they are very knowledgeable on the laws of the game. And it was completely different, that you would give a decision and it was accepted because the players knew this was a foul and this is why it's a foul. But also it held you accountable that if you made a mistake, they would know that you've made a mistake. So sometimes you've got to be careful what you wish for because they will know when you've maybe tried to manipulate a way out of a situation. Mm-hmm. But also when you give the 99% of decisions that are correct, they're accepting of it far better. And so, yeah, it definitely would have helped. Definitely.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Marissa, when you look at the challenges that COVID has presented the world of football, how have you managed the mental part of it to kind of be ready in the event you get a call up to do some form of, first of all, an international match, let alone a domestic match?
All right. Well, that's definitely a mental thing that you have to say, okay. Because for me, I haven't officiated since coronavirus, almost a year and 4 months. Yes, so there has been no active football here in Jamaica, but we have to train just the same. CONCACAF send out our training program as well as our federation, and we have to stay up to date with the laws of the game. So whenever anything can come up, As I said, as a CONCACAF badge referee, CONCACAF has some amount of tournament going on now, but I am not a FIFA referee, so of course I'm not going to be expected to be called up for a tournament at this point. However, I'm still leaving a linger here to, for anything and staying physically prepared and mentally prepared. But I am not going to say if I am to be selected now for a tournament, I'm gonna be mentally ready because, as I said, I haven't been officiated in a year and 4 months. So I might not even remember how to walk out with the teams. So I'm
It would
definitely
all come rushing back, trust me.
exactly. It will come rushing back, of course. But when when you are called to duty, then you have no choice but to bring out the work. So I will be I won't have any choice but to be
Right.
mentally and physically prepared if I am selected or called for a tournament right now.
Yeah. Maurice, let me ask you because you may mentioned that you're balancing, you're doing the army, you're still trying to focus on football, the refereeing side. How mentally, because a lot of people don't look at the mental part; they just look at the physical part of any sport. But the referee is always to blame when something goes wrong. But you're human. You have mental challenges. You have stress. You have all sorts of things. But how have you been coping with that, with such an important job outside of football? You have to unmute. There you go. No, no, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yes, it's tough. I think I need some mental health counseling right now. It's tough
But the good thing is,
because
if you acknowledge that, then the help is just a moment away.
I'm not getting you.
No, I was saying if you've acknowledged that you need help, that half the battle's won.
Yeah,
So how have you been coping with it?
it's tough because here the army get it at football is the demand is not so high, but now the work in the military get more demanding because of the COVID. Um, we have more responsibility packing up because we're in the military and we have to, do a lot of stuff, go out in a lot of communities and assist. So the tasks get high. You still have to do the football because you still get um, Zoom classes and clips to review. So it's tough, but the beauty is that I love it and I'm passionate about it, and that's why I strike a balance and I learn to deal with it and I find time to do it and do it to the best of my ability. But I've been affected somewhat with the COVID. It affected me. I won't lie because I haven't refereed no game, no games playing in Guyana either because we don't have the COVID restriction is still up to some point, especially with sport. So there's no game, there's no football. So I haven't been refereeing. But the beauty is that we still staying current with the rules and all the law changes and modification. And for me, in my mind, I am ready in my head. I have the laws and everything intact. It's just the physical part maybe gonna be lacking a bit. Game,
Mm,
game. They say you fit,
right.
but your own fitness then match fitness gonna be lacking.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of little rust and thing that people gonna get scrape up little when they start.
Yeah.
But eventually when you shake it off and a one, 2, 3 game and you're back in it. Like as you said, it come rushing in back.
Yeah.
But I
Definitely.
could testify that it has been tough, but
Uh-huh.
we have to battle through it and cope with it because I say it's not me alone. It's being affected. It's the world. So
Yeah.
we
So
just
true. Yeah. Farai, can you how are you assisting the Bermuda referees, and what's your thoughts on the collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, it's something which we're kind of really delighted to be doing here from England, is supporting colleagues from Bermuda. We've been, of course, we've had a few of my colleagues come on the referee corner. We've had meetings with some of the Bermuda referees, the Bermudan committee, looking at their assessors, looking at their referees, looking at their trainers, just to share kind of the best practice that you guys have, but also sharing some of what we do in England as well. And 2 years ago now, of course, because of coronavirus, it's probably lost us a year. 2 years ago, we had over 3 CONCACAF referees to our Premier League youth tournaments, which was brilliant, just to find out a new way of working, a new kind of culture in refereeing. That was just eye-opening. I think for all of us on the call, that these opportunities and experiences we have going into other cultures, not only personally, because personally they're fantastic, of course, but also they make us a more whole-rounded referee, whether that be learning parts of a different language, whether that be learning actually in one country, one island, their behaviours are slightly different. They will react very differently. I will never forget being at the Dallas Cup 2016 in the United States, of course, and I refereed a game between a Mexican team and a Japanese team. Now, of course, you've then got me from London in the middle. But what an experience that was, and that will stay with me forever. How I had to referee that game knowing a tiny bit of Spanish but no Japanese, and trying to communicate with players, which in England we do a lot. We try and talk to players a lot, and having to adapt my style, having to use my body more than I'd ever used before. Some of these experiences that we have are invaluable, and if we can do that from England supporting Bermuda, supporting CONCACAF, then fantastic. Look, we're all in this for the same aim, which is to enjoy football, to make football better, because we've all got that love for it, right? That's all. That's all we're here to do. So it's been brilliant, really. All I'm doing is I'm hoping for an invite out to, whether that be Jamaica, Guyana, wherever, Bermuda. I take a trip to the sun anytime.
Cardella, can you what's your personality? Are you one of those ones that are kind of approachable when you were refereeing, and has that changed since you've been an assessor?
Well, as a referee, yes, yes, as we always say, there's a time and place for everything. And as a referee, where players are concerned, there are sometimes there are certain players you cannot take any talk from certain players at certain moments. Because when especially you make a certain decision and they decide they're going to protest that decision, they're going to some confrontation, you have to know how to ease them off at that moment. There are other times when, yes, you make a decision and a player, depends on the approach, because some players are very aggressive. So you have to know how to accept that approach from certain players. So it's just a time, the moment, you have to know how to deal with that moment.
Okay. All right. We are going to be joined by the head of refereeing in Bermuda, Mr. Cranston Williams, and I've just seen that we have Mr. Roots on. First of all, let me just, before I get to you, Mr. Williams, let me just let this young man to introduce himself and give us a little brief history of himself in the sport of football.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Iris Appleton. I'm a FIFA official. In my history of football, it's very good. I love the game. Football like my life. Football is love, passion, joy. So football is everything to me. I appreciate my work, what I did on and off the field. And I encourage people to love the sport as well, and things will be good for us. Things will be good for them as well too.
Okay. Mr. Williams, first of all, welcome. We've had these folks come on and kind of give their testimonies to their sport, the challenge that they've had throughout their life growing in the sport. But hearing their messages and from afar, only because we know what challenges we have in Bermuda. We know that there are some officials who are knocking on that door, but also have those challenges. And the fact that they can hear these messages, how is that resonating around the referees in Bermuda?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I want to say thank you to each panelist for accepting the invite. These type of calls are very inspirational for our referees, and in particular the younger ones, youth referees. Quite a few of them on the call have spoken to some of our referees on Zoom calls, and I'm hoping that continues. As you know, Mr. Bays, and in Bermuda, we have a shortage of referees each and every year, and I'm hoping that this type of forum will encourage more and more people to come on board, because we know that one of the biggest things here in Bermuda is the abuse. As Ms. Skeets correctly said, when she made that call in the under 20s, I remember it clear as day, all these fans reluctant. So you can imagine that happens on a regular here in Bermuda. But she was strong with what she had to do, and she withstood it. So, to see we have females on this call, that's something else that we're passionate about the committee and trying to recruit more females. We have one female right now, Natasha Trott, who's knocking on the door, but we're hoping to honor some more. Natasha started officiating last year, and she just has that drive. And I must say, from being on the calls with the females, she said she's encouraged to go further. So, as I stated, we're just hoping that this type of forum will continue to bear fruit. And for Roy, thank you very much for the collaboration thus far. It's gaining ground, and I just want to say thank you. And Earl, Miss Cardella's not going to tell you this, but I went to Jamaica with Tashawn. It was Odette first, and then it was Cardella. Cardella, I can't repeat or state exactly what happened. All I'm going to tell you is Cardella's a very, very tough individual. She refereed a game, I believe it was Tivoli Gardens versus Cavalier FC. And someone used some very inappropriate language to Cardella when she was walking off. And she responded. I still have it etched in my brain, but I can't answer her. But I can tell you, refereeing in Jamaica, that's what I was like. As they say in Jamaica, Cardella's a real bad man. Since her and Odette, even the rest, I have to give it to him. Refereeing in Jamaica, I was like, I told Dave Miku, there is no way that could happen in Bermuda. So I have to take my hat off to them. What they do, I have to take my hat off to both of them. Trust me.
She's got the biggest smile on her face. Do you remember the incident which she's referring to?
That's what I'm talking.
Yes, I remember very clearly. I always speak about that.
Well, let me ask you, Ira, you've just recently come from a tournament, so you're fresh being back involved, because a lot of other people have not even had the opportunity to officiate at home. So what has been the latest experience for you been like?
Can you please repeat that for me, Liz?
Yeah, what has been the latest experience for you been like, being that a lot of other officials haven't had the opportunity to even officiate at home?
Well, the experience, you have plenty of protocols they got to follow. In my country, we don't have no game as well. So, in the outside and the field, when you travel officiating outside, was good. Enjoy.
Mm. Yeah, and for the restrictions and the protocols, I'm going to come back to you, Farai, because obviously there's been a lot of things put in place in the UK. What has that been? How has that challenged the officials so much that we see what the players have to go through? Obviously, the officials have to go through similar, but there's probably more eyes to ensure that you guys uphold those rules and laws.
Yeah, Earl, it's been a real challenge, to be honest. Of course, we've been extremely lucky, so lucky to have football continue. And over the past 15 months, we had that 4-month period where we had no football, but then, of course, it came back when a lot of other things didn't. So we were very lucky in that sense. But we've had some unfortunate moments where referees have not completed their COVID test in time, so you come off your game. So of all the preparation we have to do, we're, of course, still training, doing a lot of online Zoom, Teams meetings to keep us engaged with our clips, with our review, with our analysis. But also now you've got to do your testing, and the testing's been very regimented. So throughout the whole year, we were tested twice a week. So we were tested on the Monday and then 48 hours before match day. And now we've just gone to rapid testing. So now we test ourselves on the morning. You get a negative test, you get a positive test, someone else goes in, you isolate. So it's added another complexity to kind of your pre-match routine. And if you forget a test on a Monday, there's a chance you may not be refereeing on the Saturday. So it's always on your mind, which is, I mean, it's essential. It's been needed to keep football going. It's been maybe slightly more difficult at grounds and stadiums where for a period changing rooms and showers were not really open. So sometimes you're having 3-hour drives home, having just refereed a game for 95, 96 minutes. You put your tracksuit on and you're in your car, and you can imagine when you get home, you're not in the most pleasant state. You're very desperate for a shower then. Being forced with a mask on, that's not pleasant. It's a long time. When it's cold, actually, it's quite good because it keeps your face warm. But when the weather's on the rare occasion warm over here, it's not been the best. But I think we're hopeful that come next season, the restrictions will get eased. There'll still be some restrictions for us match officials. And as you said, we have to be the ones upholding our standards, being professional. So I think we had 2 occasions of breaches, which kind of sent a strong message to all of us that we can't afford to be doing that, because our credibility as referees, as match officials, relies on us being professional, relies on us setting the standard. So we have to adhere to it. So it's almost become the new normal, I would say, but some slight adaptations.
Definitely. Well, I do want to thank, again, the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Cranston Williams, for arranging to have you guys on, sharing your messages. And I want to encourage you to stay the course, because without you, the game doesn't go on. Without officials, without assessors, without those mentors and all the like, without you, that the game kind of will come to a halt. And I want to again encourage you all to be the shining light for referees, future referees, former referees, and anyone that's involved on the other side of the sport that makes it run. Mr. Williams, again, I want to say thank you very much. And from Island Stats here in Bermuda, we say good night.
Good night, everybody. Thank you guys very much.
Good night.